Mark, if I could come to you now, if you look at the two promoters, they've often been called as chalk and cheese, but meant to be together, yin and yang, balancing each other. Their personalities are so different. They bring so much, diametrically opposite things to the board. But having said that, what's also often been said, it's Gangwal is the main man. He's the aviation guy, the guy who has, worked in the United States, been in charge of some of the biggest airlines that you have there. And he's the one who has brought in the foreign investors to IndiGo. This is all, of course, what we've been reading about for years. Having said that, from the market's perspective, the fact that, we're Etnow picking up that neither promoter is looking at an exit. Neither promoter right now is, at least for now, tonight, not looking at a courtroom battle. Business should carry on as usual. Is that something the markets will buy?
Hey, Nayantara, thanks for having me this evening. And, well, not much chalk and cheese, more Batman and Robin is how I'd sum the two up. One manages the airline and the other one deals with the business of the airline. So I think that equation has worked well. I think Mohit Saraf has summed it up quite nicely in the way he's deduced where they have, what options they have from a legal standpoint. Let's face it, and I'm going to back the truck up here a bit and tell you something that, I don't think either parties want this to explode in their faces. I mean, they've spent a good 15 years conceptualizing this airline, getting it up and running. Let's face it, they may have come to some sort of agreement in the past on how it works and who appoints what board. But I don't think either of them figured out that IndiGo will go from 4 aircraft to 230 Airbus A320s. Okay? They are the second largest low-cost airline in Asia. IndiGo is highly leveraged. They have everybody from Airbus to ATR to COFAS Credit. Everyone supports them with counter guarantees, mutual funds, JP Morgan. I mean, you have the list. You know what I'm talking about. So, I wouldn't say the stakes are too high. If things start looking pear-shaped, what's the option they have? They just go back to their institutional investors and work options to take the company private from public. We've seen in the past. AirAsia was thinking of going from public to private. Malaysia Airlines was a successful public to private. So, I think Mohit said it quite nicely. Let them invoke an AGM if there's something which they need to bring up or resolve, if there are discrepancies or things which are not right, whistleblower or, independent director, whatever it is, bring it out in the open and sort it out. Let's face it, we've seen worst in corporate India. Ratan Tata with Cyrus Mistry. We've seen Mukesh with Anil in the Reliance, demerger. We've seen, Goodyear. We've seen McLeod Russell. We've seen MRPL. We've seen hundreds of companies which have been in a situation where they've sought the legal, the advice from SEBI. So it's not new. It's not common. Are we looking at something which will destabilize the company and the stock tomorrow morning? I'm certain.
Yeah, but I think the problem though, Mark, is that when one promoter and one founder believes that they're in the business for two very different reasons, and you've got a shareholder agreement which is expiring in August, September, about 3 months' time, it is a problem. It's like a ticking bomb, right? Are you going to be able to defuse that bomb in time? Is the multi-billion-dollar question that we're raising today as the gloves are off between Rahul Bhatia and Rakesh Gangwal. Gentlemen, I have to take a commercial break. We'll be back in less than 2 minutes, and we're going to take forward this conversation. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The gloves are off between the two men that came together to found IndiGo. Rahul Bhatia versus Rakesh Gangwal. It's a public spat. You're seeing both of them trade charges, in fact, on the stock exchanges, charges, counter charges. Clearly, the battle had started a while back, and we'd Etnow, of course, exclusively reported it as early as May 15th. Mohit Saraf, I'm going to come to you. I remember we had you on the channel the day we broke the story. Rakesh Gangwal's move to call this AGM. What can be the purpose of that? Or do you think it's a signal, a warning sign to Rahul Bhatia that, fix the situation now of, get more independent directors, which we understand from lawyers, it seems to be one of the big problems, or the fact the board is not acting independent enough, or just a card to play before maybe wanting changes to the shareholder agreement?
I think under Indian Companies Act, the shareholder, because he's a 35% shareholder, he has a right to request for EGM, provided he has requested to the board and the board has not called an EGM. I believe that is what has happened. So the entire process of calling EGM and asking the shareholder meeting to set process for related party transaction is clearly to up the antenna and also to make little bit independent director and audit committee members nervous. Because I think it is a pressure not so much on Rahul Bhatia, but independent directors and audit committee members that, hey guys, if there is something wrong, please make sure that we fix it, because now I'm raising it to SEBI, you guys will be personally liable, please be careful. So it's really that, because really when I look at whatever little, because I'm not involved in the transaction, but when I look at the entire correspondence, I feel Rahul Bhatia has complied, maybe not with the spirit, but with the letter. Rakesh is more talking about spirit, not so much of letter, and therefore he's upping up the antenna. And what he's realized is that though the shareholder is getting eclipsed in October, but the articles, because these rights are enshrined in the articles, but the articles, the rights in the articles are not getting suspended. And one of the other person on your panel was saying that this could be in conflict with law, and therefore the law will prevail. I think whatever I've read in last 10-15 minutes, I don't see anything is in conflict with law. So really, whatever is there is prevails, and therefore the only way Rakesh Gangwal will be able to make.
I take your point. Let me go to HP Rainina on this point now. HP Rainina, I'd already asked you before the commercial break that, is it even possible for these two founders to have, in your legal opinion, a solution in sight, and maybe even before October? But I'm going to ask you this now, ask you the same question I asked Mohit Saraf, that is it a smart strategy by Rakesh Gangwal to call for this AGM? Is he basically laying his trump card on the table at the moment, saying and showing a sign that he means business? He wants things to change at the board level. He's, of course, like we said, in India, meeting with regulators, meeting with ministers, meeting with governments to make IndiGo a poster child. Having said that, does SEBI also have the power to intervene and maybe fix the issues as he's seeking?
Well, SEBI will not intervene, but SEBI will ask for all information from both parties. And then if they find that there is any breach of the corporate governance regulations of SEBI, then they will pass such orders as they deem fit. But the SEBI is not a party which will mediate in this dispute. The SEBI will only make sure that no norms of corporate governance are violated and no SEBI regulations are violated. And that is what I think SEBI's only interest will try to do. So nothing is going to come out of that. As far as the corporate law is concerned, the AGM is concerned, certainly he will try to call it. He's free to do so. Again, to what extent he will be able to resolve this matter at a shareholders meeting is very, very doubtful. Because I don't think the other shareholders really take a part in the decision making. Ultimately,
I take your point, sir. I'm running out of time, so I'm going to give the last comment to Mark. Sir, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to give the last comment to Mark. Mark, you've been tracking IndiGo aviation stocks for a long, long time. Will enter turbulence tomorrow, you think? Or am I putting it mildly?
Yeah, I mean, with the amount of noise that's been created today, I'm certain we'll see some bit of heavy sell on IndiGo tomorrow morning.
Hey, it's not me. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger.
Well, hey, everyone's out to drive that stock down. I'm the only one trying to hold it up there, But let's face it. I mean, I wouldn't want to see it be slammed too hard. I think this is just both parties just trying to flex their muscles and and prop themselves up as who's bigger of them. And if you honestly ask me, I mean, this whole thing should fizzle out. As Mohit rightly said, well, call an AGM, put it out there, vote for it, bring it out in the open, and that's something which they would never do. So, I want to be optimistic. It's let's not push the panic button yet. Let's give this another 10 days and see how it pans out.
Right. In fact, that's exactly what you and I discussed in the opening comment when the story first broke, right? And when we first invited you on May 15th too, when Etnow had broken the story. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, it's a wrap on this special edition at Etnow. Remember, stay with us, stay ahead of the curves. The story you heard on May 15th, the gloves are off. It's just the start. It's going to be the stock to watch out for when trade resumes come tomorrow.